Good evening, Dhamma friends. Welcome back. We are going to start off day 68 of our Sutta discussion, BME Mani Sutta discussion. If there are newcomers, please approach Sister Eng later. If you need our information about our notes, other things that we've been doing in the last almost 2 years of time, almost starting from Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So we have started off this Girimananda Sutta somewhere in January. And this sutta talks about how someone can heal from sicknesses, not just by being blessed, in the format of a chanting, but more importantly, understanding 10 perceptions, 10 things, especially by looking at, by understanding, by internalizing about the context of those 10 perceptions. But now we have been actually discussing many perceptions. So what is the number of perception we've been doing for today? We studied the first perception, anicca sanya. That means if we are able to understand changes in our life, good or bad changes, that will heal us much better than how we used to heal before. Second perception is perception of not self. You look at books, how the writers and some of the speakers have translated anatta to be non-self, no self, creating a very big confusion about if we don't have a self, then who am I? Who are we? So this is why we had to understand sometimes to translate these Dhamma concepts in a more practical way. So it's more towards not self, perception of not self. So perception of change, perception of not self. Then we studied about asubha sanya, perception on 31 unpleasantness of the 31 body parts. Actually, Buddhist texts later on have taken the number of body parts to be 32, but it's 31 here. Some suttas 32, but most suttas 31. Especially the brain. The brain is missing here in Satipatthana Sutta, and even in the Girimananda Sutta sometime. And then last Monday we discussed another sanya, which we call as, what was it? Adinava sanya. Adinava. Adinava means drawbacks. Perception of drawbacks of. What are the drawbacks of? Drawbacks of the drawbacks of maintaining a body which has 5 aggregates and then 4 elements. So far we have been discussing 4 perception, and today we are going to discuss the 5th perception. What is it called? Pahana sanya. P-A-H-long-A-N-A. Pahana sanya. If we go back to the anicca sanya, somebody might think about a question like this: how to find happiness in an ever changing world? World is changing. Then what about our happiness? If the world is not changing, we can find out a stable happiness, right? But the world that we are living in, it's changing all the time. Internal world, outside world, right? My world, your world, and your world, outside world. So if the world is changing, world means not the continents themselves. Here world means what you call all these phenomena, all these habits, thoughts, ideas, they all are changing constantly. If everything is changing, how to find out a stable happiness? Happiness then revolves around understanding the moments of the life. Then the more we understand the moments of our life, the happier we are. That's how we're going to look. There's no stable happiness in that perspective. It's like between satisfaction and then contentment. Right? Say, for instance, you go for a restaurant and you are happy about the food that they are making today. But you are going back there in a week of time with another friend. Then you are not that much happy on that day. Why is it? Food is not as good as you had alone that day. And then you are going back again another 1 week, 2 weeks. And food is again good. Maybe the cook who made the food when you went there on the first day is back again. And you are going back again in a couple of months again. The food is not nice. Actually, it's worse than the second, third time, according to that person. Then what happens? That means that happiness with regard to the food is satisfaction. It's a satisfaction. That's why people like satisfying us. That's why even some consumer products, cultures, places, they are saying satisfaction guaranteed, right? And they put in that statement, satisfaction guaranteed. There may be certain places where consumerism talk about satisfaction guaranteed. But what about the contentment? Is contentment guaranteed? So then we understand contentment is something that we can rely on, depend on in the long run. You name it. You might particularly look at it as Dhamma is contentment and everything else is satisfaction. But no, it depends. Even the way how you are satisfying yourself can be a contentment if you have the proper way of looking at it. Right? So then in that context, I'm actually taking you back to the anicca sanya because that was the first perception we started off. Then we understand satisfaction has a unstable happiness. The happiness that is given by satisfaction is mostly unstable, but still a happiness. And then contentment is a stable happiness. But what is being content? Now the Mangala Sutta, right? Mangala Sutta talks about it. How does Mangala Sutta talks about it? Gara vocha niva tocha santutti cha katanyuta kalena dhamma savanam etam mangala mutta. This is Mangala Sutta. We have heard this sutta as many times as you used to. I don't know how many of you are looking at the meaning of these suttas, or just only look at it very sacred, blessing suttas only. When the monk chants for you, you are taken care by everything. But the real thing comes in understanding the meaning of these suttas. Gara vocha nimatocha, respecting the right people in life. Sometimes we've been respecting the wrong people for decades. And then we blame them at the end of 20 years of time. You are my energy vampire, You suck all the good energy for 20 years now. And now you are looking back. I respected the wrong person in my life. So the Buddha said, respect the right people. And garavocha nimatocha, humbleness. We're going to be humble. The more humble we are, the happier we are as well. Who is the example for us to be humble? Who is a very interesting example for our personal life to be humble? Bodhisattva, Pusa, right? Bodhisattva. Why? Bodhisattvas, you may call it Mahayana philosophy, but I think it's part of Theravada as well. It's early Buddhism. Bodhisattvas are always saying, your enlightenment first. I help you to become enlightened. My enlightenment is secondary. That's the Bodhisattva thought. I don't know who told you, no, we don't care about any other person. I just do my meditation, I become enlightened. And then I don't care about anybody else in my family, in my house. I just close my door, I do my meditation. That's not enlightenment. So while we are on our journey, spiritual journey, we are supposed to help other people as well. That helping part helps us attain Nibbana faster. Because that has gratitude, that has what you call compassion, that has everything else. So we're learning from the Bodhisattva's attitude. Bodhisattvas say, you first. Yeah, you go first. Like, in a line up in a queue, when somebody tells you, you go first, you feel very happy, yeah? Aren't you? You feel very happy, yeah. Thank you very much. And you want to go further. Maybe you want to buy something in the grocery shop. Bodhisattvas say, you first, I won't let other people in line. I do myself. I journey in my practice in my own way. So that means Bodhisattvas are the most humble being. Later on, they become Samma Sambuddhas one day. So we have to learn from Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are not just people for you to go and then place a flower and then come back respect. We have to learn from their life, the nature of their life, altruism. You first, I'm the second. This mentality helps us to work on really well in our practice. I'm the first, you are the second, I'm here, you are here. These dimensions will help us not get to the next level of our spiritual path. So I'm explaining Garavocha, that Nivatocha means being humble, humility. Then Santutti cha katanyuta, Santutti, contentment. Santutti means not satisfaction. Some people might translate without knowing Pali words. Santutti means contentment. Contentment means a stable happiness. It's not going to be change all the time. What is a contentment? Contentment is an internalizing way of looking at own life from a more objective point of view. That's very important. So when you are content, you are able to look at life in a more positive way, in a more tolerant way, in a better way. That can transform you to the better version of who you supposed to be. We are not the better version of us for many years unless we put the Dhamma in the proper way. So contentment arises at that point. So that I'm trying to tell you that if the conditions in our life where we seek our happiness on are always changing, then how to find happiness in that constantly changing world? That is by tapping into the contentment. Because our happiness is always based on the satisfaction. Satisfaction is depending on the people. So we are more towards that. So understanding anicca is the first thing in this healing path that the Buddha talks about in the Girimananda Sutta. So understanding anicca, changes in our life that makes us into healing, and then understanding that although we maintain a self, but self is subject to the changes based because self has to be taken in two ways. One is this self, so-called self, has five aggregates: Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. It's a composite of these five. On the other hand, it is a composite of four elements: Pata, Apo, Tejo, Vaya. So understanding these two aspects help us to uh, navigate that I do not exist at a higher level in their understanding, but I still exist in this changing life. That also helps us to heal faster. We will, minimize challenges, fights, problems with other people, even within ourselves. Then we discuss about uh, 31 body parts, and I told you the way how I explained to you was not to demonize your body. Nobody's supposed to demonize the body, think bad about the body. You got this human life due to a jumbo good karma. I always use this English word. It's a very, very massive good karma you must have done to become as such. When I ask people, what are you grateful for? What are you most grateful for? My people, my friends. I had a very bad time last year. I was going through a cancer treatment. I was going through a very hard time, so I'm very thankful, grateful to those people. Yeah, it's good. But as a Buddhist, what is the first thing that we are supposed to be grateful for? The first thing is that the greatest good karma that made us human, at the time that many beings are animals and they're not humans. So that's why I'm telling, like, when someone tells you you are doing a lot of akusala, lot of what you call evil, defilement. I'm saying, hey, don't say like that. We are not sinners. If these people are sinners, they would have not been as humans. They already done something. They already in the path. You just only have to help them. Tell them how to become a human again. How to re-become a human again. I mean, until we attain Nibbana. So uh, we look at. I mean, just we don't know what that jumbo, the best karma that you may have done, but definitely something parallel to the output of 10 kusalas: not killing, not stealing, not sexually misbehaving, not lying, not talking behind the back, not being hurtful in your speech, not gossiping, idle chatting, not being covetous, not having wrong view, and not having what you call ill will. So then these ten are the only way to become a human again. They call it Dasa Kusala Kamma Pata. Pata. Pa. The Buddha has said in many suttas, if you want to become a human again, you must engage in these 10 as much as you can. Right? So then you're already human. So you are grateful. We have to be grateful for the good karma. I don't know, you don't know. But you must have done it. Otherwise, you would have not become a human. That thing every day, just be grateful. Because the more you're grateful for that unknown, massive jumbo karma, the more you are able to put trust, place a lot of positivism in the existing Dhammaja. Then you know it. Say, for instance, you are going to you are going to be asked by a group of people, can you give an impromptu speech? I'm not talking about Rotary Club, Toastmaster Club. I'm asking, I'm telling you, all of a sudden, hey, can you give a speech? Then you know that you have spoken few times before somewhere in an unofficial setup. Then you believing I can talk because you already given some speeches before. Then you go up to the stage and then you can talk because you have done it. In the same way, if you believe yourself, this trying to become a human again until I attain Nibbana is not a new thing for me. I've done it before. So I just have to uh, fulfill the rest of the same requirements in my life with the Dhamma knowledge. So this Mangala Sutta's stanza clearly says. So when we go to the Asubha, we understanding that these 31 body parts are not there to demonize us, then just to discuss our body. Rather than we know, I mean, it's common sense. This body has all these organs. But the reason why we are picking up these 31 body parts, or perhaps 32 body parts, is to understand the body. That's very important. So when you understand the body, you will create a certain positive, wholesome, healthy picture about yourself, and you will take care of yourself. Right. And then last week we discussed about Adinava Sanya. Adinava mean also I mentioned that Adinava Sanya has to be taken in a positive way. Sicknesses, 49 sicknesses. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that the Buddha has no idea of telling Venerable Girimananda, you know what? Not even your sickness, maybe your sickness is part of the 49 sicknesses. I mean, what's the point of telling him? Already suffering, going through pain. So perhaps the Buddha must have wanted to tell him that there are ways to understand the issues of the body, and uh, they are inevitable in a certain way, but at the same time, in another perspective, they are avoidable. The more we understand our own body, the healthier we can become. Right? Like what the doctors are doing in today's world. I mean, when you see a doctor 10, 15 years ago, we had to rely on the doctor. Now, when you go see a doctor, when you keep asking questions, doctor is asking you to go Google it, right? Doctor doesn't want to tell you. Why? I mean, go Google it. I mean, there are two ways. One is doctor might not like to get sued by the patient. On the other hand, unnecessary information. I mean, I can minimize my time for another patient, right? So that means That means now what is happening in the medical, relationship between a patient and the doctor is that doctor wants us to become a little bit health conscious by reading the required information and creating our own health awareness. So then, Adinava Sanya is a very good place for that. If you learn them, you know, these could come to me anytime if I don't take care of myself. Okay, so along the line, now we are coming to the next Sanya, Pahana Sanya. Let me give you an introduction to Pahana Sanya. Pahana means giving up. Give up. But what to give up? When there is a conversation going on about give up from a Buddhist perspective, a lot of people think that this is something what I call the opposite of materialism, opposite of indulging. Actually, giving up here means how to give up akusala thoughts. Now, here Buddha talks about 4 types of akusala thoughts. So, when the akusala thought is giving us a bad time, or maybe even before it is becoming a bad time to us, how to take care of our thoughts. So then, Pahana Sanya means you can practice this Pahana Sanya even when you are sick or not by understanding the overall management of taking care of your thoughts, not making them become akusala. Just keep them as kusala, or maybe create a new kusala. So then, how can you do that? The greatest concept in Buddhism, Samma Vayam, one of the noble path factors in the Noble Eightfold Path. And I normally translate this to be effortless effort. Through the effortless effort, we are trying to create energies, the positive kusala energy, not bad energies, good energies, kusala energies. Thereby, we are able to manage our akusala thoughts in 5 ways. What are akusala thoughts? 4 types you can actually. Through the effortless effort, we are going to manage 4 types of akusalas in 5 ways. That's what we are going to learn today. So let's take a look at the text. Okay, Girimananda Sutta, we are going to number 7. Okay, let's see the Pali first. It's very important to understand Pali because these English translations, sometimes they are okay, sometimes not. So that's why we have to look at the Pali first. Katama Chananda Pahana Sanya. As I said earlier, Pahana means giving up, Sanya is perception or a memory. Idhananda Bhikkhu Uppannang Kama Vitakkam. Okay, now the first akusala thought is mentioned here, and then the Buddha talks about what are we supposed to do with the first akusala thought. So I'm going to make it like this. Uppannang Kama Vitakkam Nadivasiti Pajahati Vinodeti Vyanti Karoti Anabhavam. This is the first one, first thought. Or we can take this way, Kama Vitakka. Or then Vyapada Vitakka, then Vihinsa Vitakka, and then the last one, Uppanne, Papake, Akusale, Dham. Okay, these are the 4 akusala thoughts. What does the Buddha say? Uppannam Kama Vitakka. Now the Buddha is telling that Kama Vitakka has already arisen. Here, Uppannam Vyapada Vitakka. The the ill will thought has already been arisen. And here, Vihinsa Vitakka. Vihinsa means the abusive thoughts of torturing somebody mentally, physically, psychologically, physically. The thought of abuse has already arisen. Now, what are we supposed to do? Why did the Buddha take these 3 thoughts? What is the basis of these 3 thoughts? Have you ever found out these 3 thoughts under the akusala somewhere else? If so, where is that place? When you study the Noble Eightfold Path, actually we have studied that many times before. We know under the Samma Sankappa, Sammaditthi, Samma Sankappa, second Noble Eightfold Path factor, Buddha says Samma Sankappa means the absence of 3 akusala thoughts. they are none other than these akusala thoughts. Kama, Vyapada, Vihimsa. But he talks in the nice way, the better way. He says we have to practice Nekkhamma thought. Nekkhamma Vitakka. That is the opposite of Kama Vitakka. Then instead of what you call Vyapada Vitakka, he talks about Avyapada Vitakka. Non-destroying thoughts. And then instead of Vihinsa Vitakka, he talks about Avihinsa Vitakka. That means there are three akusala sides of these three akusala thoughts. But we will pick up the akusala side first, which is not the nice way, right? This is not the gentle training as Buddha talks us in the Kesi Sutta. Anyways, but we have to learn. Okay. Kama Vitakka. Vitakka means, this is an interesting thing to learn. I think we have discussed also this one. Vitakka. Vitakka means a thought. Now the problem is, you may have heard many other Pali words for a thought. Or maybe, perhaps I can ask you, what are the other places where you found out Vitakka in Pali, reading in Pali Suttas? I think you might remember a very famous place in finding Vitakka. Where is it? When you learn jhanas under the meditation, right? You find out Vitakka. How is the Vitakka given over there? The Buddha says there are 5 hindrances, right? These are the things that we struggle every day. So 5 hindrances. What is a hindrance? Hindrance means now if the reality is here, hindrances are always in front of the reality. We are not able to look at the truth or the objective part of the experience because hindrances are covering that truth. So there are 5 hindrances. Kamachanda, extreme sensual desires, pleasures, Vyapada, ill will, then Tinamidda, slope and topo, that means laziness of the thoughts and mental factors, and then what you call Uddhaja, Ukkucha, restlessness of the mind, and then worry, remorse, and the 5th one is doubts, unnecessary doubts. So these are always coming to our perspectives. That's why we are sometimes very much subjective in our speeches, in our getting along with other people. This is why we run into a lot of arguments, a lot of problems with others as well. Why? We are supposed to look at the way out of the 5 hindrances, but the 5 hindrances mean to us to be truthful more than the experience that we are going to embrace after that. So when the Buddha is saying that 5 hindrances are always impeding the ability of you in understanding the reality, then you must develop 5 parallel kusala, 5 parallel parts in order to understand these 5 hindrances. What are they? Jhana components. Vitakka, Vichara, Piti, Sukha, Ekaggata. So there you see Vitakka, Vichara. We don't call applied thought, sustained thought. Vitakka, Vichara, Piti means rapture, Sukha means happiness. Some people say bliss. Then Ekaggata means one-pointedness. But the thing is that these 5 are not ethically positive. Why do I say so? Ethically positive means they are not exclusively wholesome. Now, Vitakka can be akusala also sometimes. You think about the one-pointedness, ekaggata. Are we always experiencing one-pointedness in terms of everything? Say, for instance, a drug cartel, somebody from an organized crime organization, a terrorist, or maybe somebody like even the good people, espionage agencies, maybe intelligence. they are also having a certain one-pointedness, aren't they? Sometimes they are watching over somebody, they are doing surveillance for 1 year. They are not going to raid the place, but they are doing it for 1 year. Why? They are still gathering information to do the raid, a successful raid. So that means this one-pointedness can be kusala or akusala. So if the one ekaggata, that means ekaggata is not always a kusala state of mind. That's what I'm trying to tell you now. So this vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata set of jhana parts, this ekaggata, when it comes to a normal quality, ekaggata is not always wholesome. That's why the Buddha said, the way how some people are practicing one-pointedness or maybe concentration can be unwholesome. Then the Buddha used the word for that, miccha samadhi, wrong concentration. That is the wrong version of ekaggata. And some other people, they are really trying to understand the wholesome concentration. We call it samma samadhi. That's why the Noble Eightfold Path has a wrong aspect and a correct aspect. I mean, wholesome aspect and unwholesome aspect. That means all meditators are not doing the proper samadhi. All meditators are not doing the proper meditation. Some are doing the wrong meditation. Some are doing the wrong concentration. Right? That's why Buddha used these two parts, samma versus miccha. Then if all meditation is okay, then Buddha could have used only one word. All are samma samadhi, all are samma sati. No, miccha sati, miccha samadhi, miccha ditti, miccha sankappa, miccha vacha. They all have a bad version, unwholesome version. Right. So here what we need to understand is that vitakka, Pali word vitakka, has been used in couple of contexts. But normally, generally speaking, vitakka means a thought. It's enough to understand vitakka as a thought. Now here Buddha talks about three thoughts. Kama vitakka. Kama vitakka means, what is kama vitakka? This is the problem. I see kama vitakka in many books. They say thought about sensual pleasure. Then you all are wrong. You all are having a very bad life, unwholesome life in your lay life. What is a kama vitakka? Now, the way kama vitakka appears to a layperson and a monastic could be different. For a layperson, kama vitakka is an extreme sensual pleasure thought. Because lay people cannot walk away from the sensual pleasures. So, lay people are supposed to understand the ethical parameters of the sensual pleasures. The more they understand the ethical parameters of the what you call sensual pleasure, they should be good. So they are okay. But for a monastic, it's a different case. For the monastic has to understand. It's not even, that's why I'm always using an example. People are looking at, I'm a very rich person, how to practice Buddhism. It's okay, don't worry about it. I'm in the business industry. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own business. In business, if I want to survive, I have to keep up with the trends. I have to be competitive. You see, being Buddhist, it's not looking at. It's not something to be looked at from the greed. It is something that you have to do. You're supposed to do because you are in the business industry. You have to keep up with that. Say, for instance, you are working for a private company. You are not the decision maker. Your superiors have to do the same thing. Otherwise, how to survive in your company? They are the ones who are doing that for you. But if you are the decision maker, you have to do that. Now, one question was, I'm running a company, but a lot of employees are leaving my company. What to do with Buddhism? I said, look at why they are leaving, for better perks. Maybe they are given better perks somewhere else. The benefit packages, working culture, right? So when that person is to look at these aspects of why that is Buddhism, why is it happening to me? Why is it happening to my business? Why is this happening to my government, my country? They are looking at the cause. That is Buddhism. Paticca Samuppada. So we are here understanding Kama Vitakka, especially for you, as an extremely developed Kama thought. Otherwise, you are good. What if you are creating an extremely, uh, you know, uh, driven Kama thought? You will go through problems with regard to that extremeness. Okay, now what does the Buddha say? When you are coming up with a very extremely developed Kama thought, can you think about that kind of a Kama thought? The sensual pleasure, the first one. What is the first sensual pleasure that you are having in your lay life? Tell me. What is the first sensual pleasure? How many sensual pleasures are you enjoying in your lay life as a layperson? I don't know, right? Whatever comes to me, I just experience. There are six. I think I mentioned to you many times. Six. What are they? Kama, all are kama. Rupa kama, sabda kama, gandha kama, rasa kama, pottappa kama, dhamma kama. First one is sensual pleasure with regard to your eyes. Right? That's the first one. How do we describe this? How do you describe this? Are you always expecting to see? Look at, see the loved ones that you really would like to see every day. Maybe your husband, maybe your wife, maybe your partners, your children, even your favorite TV program, YouTube channel, whatever song, right? All these have come down to the sensual pleasure with regard to this, with regard to the scene, the rupa. That's the first one. So this has no problem unless you are taken over by that side. If you are trying to deal with it, it should be fine. How do you know that you are taken over by the side? The moment that you understand something else is controlling me, manipulating me, the sides in my life are manipulating. So that means then your rupa, first sensual pleasure, has gone out of control, out of management. We have to fix it. As long as we fix it, it's going to give us a big trouble, big mess, very hard time, a very big time. But to be with the loved ones, wanting to see them all the time, there's no problem. The problem is that when that when that enshackles you, when that incapacitates you, when that limits your ability to see whatever the things that you really want to see, that means something wrong with that. And we have to work on that. Second sensual pleasure for a layperson. Sensual pleasure with regard to the sound, hearing, right? So you can do a reality check whether sounds are taking you over or whether you manage them. Whenever you want to hear, you hear and then you close it. Second sensual pleasure. But sounds are very important, right? We want to hear, listen. You may listen to a song, you may hear your loved ones' voices. That's not bad. But the problem appears when the sounds are taking you over, taking your ears over. Third, sensual pleasure with regard to the smell. What about somebody, who has a fascination about fragrance, looking to buy perfumes, fragrance, and wanted to keep the house always uh, in a nice aroma, something like that. Maybe someone who's always looking for good aroma, diffuser experiences, to make the house nice and then feel good. That's not bad. But what if someone is always taken over by smell and fragrance, very disturbed because of that? So always when there is a new fragrance, this person is going to be disturbed by that news and everything. Maybe there may be a time that you are not able to buy that particular fragrance and maybe the stock is out, sold out. And how to survive without that fragrance? How to survive without that perfume? How to survive that smell, good smell? And even on the other hand, the bad smell. Sometimes you are a very clean person, your house is very clean, But outside of your house, there's a big problem. Your neighborhood, two, three, four neighbors are just disposing garbage on the road, and stray dogs come and eat them. They just make a mess outside the road. And you are writing this to the city council. You are becoming the common enemy of everybody in the street, right? So then this smell problem. But you know something is happening out there. You don't have to push, you don't have to make enemies on the road, right? They are neighbors. So that means the smell problem can come as a good smell and a bad smell. Right? So you're going to understand how to cooperate with these people, my neighbors. I don't need to make enemies on in my street. But if there is something, how to talk to these people, how to solve this problem, this garbage problem. Maybe mosquito is coming up somewhere because of something. So then that means smell, good smell, bad smell, both can create us a mess. But if we understand how to talk, how to keep up, then smell will be smell. It won't be a problem, an extreme problem to our sensual pleasure. Then the taste, I think that's the biggest issue, right? Taste. Sensual pleasure with regard to the taste. That's a big issue. I think that's the biggest issue in our life in today's world. Why? Compared to 20, 30 years, think about your ancestors, predecessors. How did they buy food? Food was something that they have to go early morning to the market, flea market or whatever the market focused on, and they had to buy it. They had to bring it home, and they had to cook it. Right? It's a very time-consuming activity, but they never thought it's a time-consuming activity. But by today, you just order through apps. In a moment of time, food is at your doorstep and you are eating. That's a very comfort. That's a very good thing. But the problem is because the access to the food is very fast. A lot of people eat a lot of food compared to their predecessors, compared to their ancestors 20, 30 years back in this world. And that's why WHO long time ago predicted, probably in early 2000, in 20, 30 years, the biggest health issue that we will be facing is not cardiovascular problem, not diabetes, not blood pressure, but obesity. No. Why? Is it because the easy access to the food? Is it the food culture? So how to eat as a good Buddhist? Does Buddhism control your eating habits? No. Buddhism does not say you should not eat this food, that food. What Buddhism says is that when you eat in moderation. Actually, if you look at certain doctors, even these health conscious ideas, they all are talking, don't eat a lot. Sometimes eat less. Right? Why is it? The same idea. The Buddha says, don't fill your tummy. Right? So if you are someone who is not conscious about these teachings, you only think that you practice Sila, Samadhi, Panya, you are not practicing. Why? The Buddha said under the, Samavayama, energy part, this creating energy, food energy, mental energy that we are talking today, we must have a very good understanding about energy that nutrients that we are creating through food. How much food are we supposed to eat? So then think about cravings that we may have with regard to the food. Do we have a compulsive eating habit? If I have a compulsive eating habit after eating our main meals, are we still carried away by other foods? That means I have a problem. I have to accept that problem. I have to work on it. So that means I have an extreme sensual pleasure with regard to the food. I would say taste. So then we need to understand now there is an extreme sensual pleasure with regard to taste as well. Then, so what are the other two? What are they? Touch. Extreme sensual pleasure with regard to touch. What kind of touch can be extreme to us? So we have experienced touch from different material things, and even from some people, right? Mother's touch has been the biggest touch in our life. And then we have been experiencing touch with regard to the luxurious, comfortable things. And how to embrace these things in our life. Think about your good job, other things, money, comforts, right? What if you are losing all these things in an overnight time or one day? How to survive? So that means we are happy for what we've been having, but even if we lose it, we should be able to survive in a happy way. And finally, an extreme sensual pleasure with regard to thought. So likewise, there are six sensual pleasures. They are okay, but if you don't manage them properly, they become extreme sensual pleasure. So this is what we call by kama vitaka. Okay. Now, suppose you are having an extreme sensual pleasure. Think about the first one, an extreme sensual pleasure with regard to the sight, what you see. Then, what did the Buddha ask us to do? Let's take a look. He's asking us to do five things. Nadivaseti, pajahati, vinodeti, Bhante karoti, anabhavam gamiti. I think I'm going to finish by reading here so I can go to the notes. And second, if you come up with the vyapada means thoughts of destroying other people. Even thinking to destroy your employer, giving you so much work. Right? Some people even might think that my employer is in a comparative life than me and they want to eat me. But the thing is that we are not supposed to, as the follower of the Buddha, we are not supposed to create any ill will with regard to yourself or any other being. Once you start developing that, understand something wrong with your spiritual journey. You've been failing in your spiritual journey. There are different people. There are unwholesome people who we cannot keep up with, but we should be able to place the proper understanding about those people. So we are not going to create any unwholesome. Sometimes we have to keep away from certain people. That is necessary because you know that these people are trying to create unnecessary problems in my life. So at that point, you're going to keep away from them. But you still say hi and bye. If you cannot say hi and bye, at least you are alone in a way, but you are not creating an unwholesome thought about them. The moment you start creating an unwholesome thought, you are done in your spiritual journey. So that's how Buddha looks at it. You are done means not that you are dying. Actually, you are dying from your spiritual life. So that's why we have to maintain what you call avyapada, right? And then the third one, we will discuss more later because of the time issue. Last one is vihimsa. Vihimsa means abuse. Sometimes people don't destroy us mentally, physically, emotionally, but they torture us. They abuse us, right? So they are not destroying us, but they are torturing us, and they are abusing us. How to abuse someone? I think people know those abuses. They know how to abuse physically, mentally, emotionally. Not even that, even financially. You pay for me financially, and putting that person as a victim in one's own plans. How many people are going through financial victim problems in life? So how to be fair in these financial activities? I think in one of the suttas we discuss financial freedom. Remember Pattakama Sutta? In the Pattakama Sutta, Buddha says we have to have the wealth management, financial freedom. That is for me, that is for you. But when you are with somebody, how to do it in a nice, fair way? Is the other person trying to take you for granted in their financial activity? So is it going to be very clear, fair journey together, right? So then that means victim, or I would say abuse, can happen not just from the emotional perspective, physical, financial also. Okay, let's take a look at the note now and then we will discuss the rest. Day 68 today, Girimananda Sutta, AN 1060. Why it is 10? That means all the suttas that come under 10 section must have 10 qualities of anything. But in this sutta, we understand it's about the 10 perceptions where the Buddha went to. Actually, here we understand Putigata, this story, and then, but the idea is that Buddha teaches Venerable Venerable Ananda to go and teach this to Venerable Girimananda. Okay, pahana sanya means perception on giving up. So pahana sanya is going to be the fifth sanya, right? So first one, anicca, anatta, asubha, adinava, today pahana. Okay. In this teaching, the Buddha explains the complete management and removal of four unskillful thoughts. What are they? These are the four unskillful thoughts that arise in our daily thoughts. To address them, we should practice pahana sanya, which involves giving up these harmful obscure thoughts in 5 distinct ways. What are they? They are here, down there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's understand 4 bad thoughts. Now, as you know, when you learn about the akusala, oftentimes you may have heard about lobha, dosa, moha, right? So they are the roots of akusala. They don't happen in the way they are. That's why a lot of people cannot understand where is my lobha, greed, where is my dosa, hatred, where is my ignorance. Actually, lobha, dosa, moha, they are like raw vegetables. They have not been cooked already. They have to be cooked. You are not able to eat it. So lobha, dosa, moha will be processed. And once they are processed, they will become kama, vyapada, vihinsa. Okay? Because when they are processed, the processing activity is happening because of ignorance. So that is implied. And then once they are processed, they will become kama, vyapada, vihinsa. Now we know when they are not processed, they are lobha, dosa, moha. That's why many people cannot even manage, because they are always saying, what are the akusala? Lobha, dosa, moha. Can you see them? No, I can't see them. I know them by books. I cannot see them. Why? When they are processed, they are not happening in the same way. Right? They are happening in different akusala way, akusala formats. Right? So that's why here the Buddha clearly says we have to take them as a particular thought when they are processed. Thought of extreme sensual pleasures. Now let's go back. Who has the greed? Actually, we are having greed as a latent tendency. We have the nature, but we are not greedy. We are not by default greedy, but we have the nature of becoming greedy, right? Now think about there is a baby in a family, but when the mother is going to give birth to another baby, that first baby is naturally going to become a little bit not that happy. So where is the jealousy coming from to that particular baby? Where was it? That jealousy was not with the baby first, but it's coming. That way it's latent. It's actually dormant within the body, in the mindset. So then the thing is that when the lobha, dosa, moha garnish, like in a food experience, then what happens? These are the things that are displaying in our experience, thought experience. So the first thought that can come to us when we are not properly managing our latent tendency of what you call this raga, or maybe extreme pleasure, the sensual pleasure is an extreme sensual pleasure. We call it kama vita. I think that is very understandable. It's very commonplace. And then second is destroying, vyapada vita. Now you can understand, just because you have the hatred, you are not destroying other people, right? Are you? You have the inherent nature of creating hatred. But just because you have the hatred, you are not always doing that. But once you hit the boundary of that hatred, you are coming up with vihinsa, vyapada. At that point, you are going to think about destroying, killing other people. So that means process. Your hatred has been processed properly, very badly. Before it was not unprocessed, but now it is processed. I mean, even if it is not processed, also not good. But when it's processed, more harm coming out. Right. Third one is abusing, vihinsa vitaka. So we will discuss. And the fourth part that the Buddha is mentioning as one of the four bad thoughts is the rest of all the akusala thoughts. Uppanne papake akusale dhamme. Now this is interesting. Uppanna anuppanna. That means now the previous three akusala thoughts have been arisen already. But the last one, Buddha says, any other akusala thought that has been arisen and that has been unarisen. Arisen, unarisen. Very interesting, right? Some akusala thoughts are not arisen already. They are dormant actually. They are happening, they are dormant. So, finally, what the Buddha is saying, whatever the akusala thought you are having, either kama vitakka, be that an extremely developed sensual pleasure, or a thought of what you call destroying other people, beings, including oneself, or a thought of abusing, and all the other rest of the akusala thoughts, even a thought of becoming jealous, even a thought of not tolerating the right things. So all these are coming under the fourth section. Now we will discuss a little bit more about these four thoughts. Number one, thought of extreme sensual pleasure. Many people mistakenly interpret this as the Buddha instructing us to completely abandon all sensual pleasures for living. However, the Buddha's guidance is not about renouncing sensual pleasure entirely for the lay people. I think that is understood. I already mentioned that. Instead, it is about recognizing the limits of sensual enjoyment. Limits of sensual enjoyment. Should there be a limit for your sensual enjoyment? You make it, right? Nobody is going to tell you this is enough. Don't eat too much. Don't do this too much. I think you are overdoing. Nobody might be telling you. Maybe that is your own privacy, but you are creating your own boundaries for your own sensual pleasures. Right? Buddhism is something not that Buddha comes and hey, don't do that. Nobody's doing that. It's a self-discipline. That's why Buddhism is different from all the other religions. Right? Nobody's intervening. Buddha simply says in a nice, kindly way, if you do that, this will happen. If you don't do it, this will happen. True Patissamuppada. So here what we understand is that lay people, they are supposed to understand their limits of their sensual pleasure. Those limits are not bad ones. Actually, they are good for us. What are they? The level of greed. Okay. When your sensual pleasure is going to become a greed, and then the process outcome of the greed could be kama vitakka frequently, and then thereby this is very bad, craving, and then finally clinging. The worst part of the craving, greed, craving, and clinging. So what is clinging? Upadana. Upadana means you are taking it very, very much strongly. Now, for those people who might not understand upadana in the normal life, is that think about a very simple example of upadana. You are maintaining some views about life, probably. Say, for instance, lying to somebody. There's a saying that if you lie, if the liar wants to cover it up, that person might lie another 1,000 lies to cover that one truth, right? What if there is someone who, by a mistake, happened to lie, or maybe to protect someone's life, happened to lie, and there is someone else who is always lying, and when he was asked by anybody, he or she might say, "It's okay to lie, That's a simple thing. You can also lie like me." Now, this rationalization of the akusala karma is very bad. So this happens when you don't understand the akusala experience. How does the greed, or I would say, how does the fundamental lobha create other process outcomes of the akusala experience? That's why never ever rationalize. It's because even the thought can become a greed finally. You don't need to become greedy for people or things. You will be greedy for your own thoughts at that point. Have you ever found out people who cannot be easily convinced in your life, persuaded? Have you found them? You see, there's a problem in their life. You want to help them, but they never want to listen to you. They never want to listen to anybody. Have you found them? And you also uh, feeling pity on them because they need help, but there's no way to connect to them. Finally, it's not the activity itself, it's not the help itself. That particular person is maintaining a very strong belief, a very strong idea. The person is clung to the idea. Person has a lot of upadana about one's own ideas, political views, social views, family views, culture views. And he or she does not want to open up to discuss, negotiate how to get out of this issue. That means upadana is not only sensual pleasures, it can be your own thought. It can be your own idea. Right? So when you understand limits of your sensual experience, you are good. If you are not falling into greed, craving, like called lobha, tanha, upada. When one indulges in sensual pleasures without mindfulness of these ethical boundaries, they invite pain and suffering. Okay? So the problem is not the sensual pleasures. Where is the problem? Problem is not with the sensual pleasures as a layperson. The problem is with engaging in the sensual pleasures without a certain awareness about the limits, the level of greed, the level of craving, the level of upadana. That is the problem. So we don't have to discuss about is sensual pleasure okay or not. It's definitely okay. But the problem here is that uh, are people able to experience sensual pleasures with some sort of mindfulness, some sort of understanding of one's own ethical parameter? That is the problem. That is what the Buddhism is trying to answer. That is what Buddhism is trying to explain. Not whether sensual pleasure is okay or not. That's a very fundamental, already answered question. It does not need any answers. Okay. And then the key is a balance. Second. Yeah. Enjoy the pleasures of life, but don't let them dominate or lead to suffering. That's interesting, right? Enjoying the life without letting the pleasure dominate our life. It's pretty interesting, actually. I think if someone can go to that level, that life will be full of happiness, lay person's happiness. And then, second, akusala thought, vyapada vita, thought of destroying. As followers of the Buddha, we are urged to never entertain destructive thoughts towards any being, including ourselves. Okay, those people who are trying to take life, commit suicide, they are having, not even they are having vyapada vitakka, but also they are having panatipata. So that means definitely it's a problem. That means what is the English word that we are using for that kind of experience? Self-hatred, right? So we have to understand that self-hatred is not a good thing. Because if you are putting more thoughts on self-hatred, ultimately you might go to this vyapada vitakka towards you. But normally what is happening is for other people. Harboring thoughts of destruction, whether physical, emotional, or mental, is a sign of failure in your Dhamma practice. It's interesting. Keep thoughts about them. While there may be countless reasons to feel anger or resentment, true understanding of Dhamma prevents us from nurturing thoughts of harm. Or If you really understand the true Dhamma, you will never go to that level because you know that this is going to be a problem. And finally, it says destruction here is not limited to killing, but includes any form of harm, whether it's mental, emotional, reputational. That's interesting. Reputation, right? I mean, are there people who are destroying others' reputation? That is also Vyapada Vitak. How do other people do that? And how to avoid doing it? In today's world, we can write a lot of things, not like 10, 15 years, not like 20, 30 years back, right? I mean, there are so many platforms to write review. So before we do a review, we have to think back. Is this something that we have to do? Is this the right thing we're going to do? Just because I'm frustrated, I should not write something on my social media, on my those business platforms. Because when I write it, I might be destroying somebody's job. I might be sabotaging someone's good name. So I think back: is this the right thing? Are there other things I can do to solve this problem? Always think about everybody's, life in terms of happiness and then their well-being. So that is part of Vyapada Vitaka. I mean, if you understand it, you are not creating Vyapada Vitaka. What about you are somebody who is sharing other people's sharings without knowing whether they are true or not? Your friend shared a wrong information blog post, and you also resharing to your people. And now somebody lied, and you have lied again. Somebody else in your platform lied again, right? You are resharing the wrong information on your social media. Think about it. Perhaps these information are wrong, incorrect, right? So why do I do it? If I don't know, better not to do it. Because finally what I'm doing is that, what you might be doing is that you might destroy somebody's reputation. That's what in one of the suttas Buddha said. There are people, whether they have everything in their life, they are not accepted by many people in society. They are not very influential. Why? The Buddha said, in past lives, that particular person has not disrespected other people's reputation. What he or she has been doing all the time is always jeopardizing, destroying other people's good name. Wherever he or she goes, if he or she open the mouth, destroy somebody's life. Doesn't matter where is that place. If she or he talks about something, finally it will come down to a certain person's problem. Why? The person is not mindful about what I'm talking. Do I hurt someone? Do I destroy someone's reputation, someone's good thing? So character assassinations, right? So we have to understand how are we going to use. Actually, there are things that we have been able to have just to avoid a real situation, like a petition, maybe a tip, maybe informing the authorities, but we should never use them to destroy right people. If they are wrong people, that's a different thing, but right people we should not. So then, this is very important. So that means Vyapada Vitaka means destroying other people. Any thoughts about that? Third, last one. Thought of abusing. Abuse in any form is a grave issue in life. As practitioners of Dhamma, we should guard our thoughts against even the thought of abuse. That means time to time we might come up with thoughts of abusing. Who can abuse other people? When you are more powerful than somebody, you can easily abuse somebody else. So that has to be the trigger point. If I know that I'm more powerful than somebody in my life, in my work, that is the trigger where I might dominate other people. So I have to be careful whether I do or not. Whether I use my power without abusing other people. Anywhere in my life, work, family, and everywhere. So that's the main idea on that. But this applies to all forms of abuse: physical, mental, emotional, financial. We should make sure that we don't harbor abusive thoughts. as even a thought of abuse can derail our practice and harm our progress on the path to liberation. Pretty commonplace. So you are not going to develop thoughts of abusing. Finally, thoughts of any other unskillful thoughts. Uppanna means arisen, anuppanna means unarisen. Arisen, unarisen, evil, akusala thoughts. While the first three unskillful thoughts are the most commonly recognized, unskillful thoughts can arise in countless other ways. As practitioners of the Buddha teachings, we should be vigilant. Vigilant means appamada, and ensure that we don't allow any unwholesome thoughts to take root in our thoughts. I mean, this is kind of not an easy thing all the time. I understand, but the more we do it, the better we can do it. And the less we do it, the less we can progress in them. So we have to do it in our own way, so we will progress. This includes all forms of greed, hatred, delusion, and any other negative mental states that obstruct our spiritual progress. Okay, now moving on to the most interesting part of our sutta discussion today. How to do this? 5 ways. Okay, number 1, when the extreme sensual pleasures come to you, maybe when a thought of destroying someone is to come to you, when a thought of abuse come to you, the first thing is that don't tolerate that thought. Okay, what do you mean by tolerate? There are people who tolerate it. So when you tolerate it, it will happen. No, I'm not going to tolerate this one. So you should have a zero tolerance with regard to the kama, vyapada, vihinsa, vitarka. Zero tolerance. Normally the company policies is that we have zero tolerance for the aggressive speech. But here, we should have a personal understanding. I have a zero tolerance for the akusala thoughts. Right? That's number 1. Number 2, pajahati. This is nadiva. Adivasa means tolerate. Nadi means not tolerating. And pajahati, give up. Give up immediately. Now, when I don't tolerate, when I'm supposed not to tolerate, then I have to give it up. How to give it up? This is an extreme sensual pleasure. This is a destroying thought. I don't want it. I have to give it up outrightly on the spot. Number 3. Then when you decide you want to give it up, then what are you supposed to do? Vinodeti. Remove it. Remove it. Actively remove these thoughts from your thoughts and replace them with wholesome. Say, for instance, you are going with a thought of destroying somebody. Now you know this is a bad thought. I don't want to tolerate it. I want to give it up, and I remove it now. I'm in the process of removing that thought. How to remove it? You can't remove it without bringing the opposite of the akusala thought. Now let's say earlier you came up with the thought of destroying someone. Then now you are bringing the opposite of the panatipata. Now you think, no. These people can be wrong in their own way, but I have to practice panatipata vera. I cannot do that. So you are bringing that opposite good part. That is called vinoditi. Then bhyanti karoti. Now in the process of removing, you have to end it. Right? Some people, they start it, but they don't end it. When you don't end it, what will happen to you? It will come back again. Right? You got to end it. End that akusala thought. End the cycle of these thoughts before they can grow or escalate. Finally, cease it. Cease means anabhava. Now, when you end it, what you are doing is you are ceasing it. Allow these harmful thoughts to cease entirely. Cessation. That is a good sign of your proper ending. That means when you, say for instance, first you're going not to tolerate. Second, you are going to give it up. The thought of giving. Then you are going to remove it. And then 4, you are going to end it. Properly end it. 5th, you are going to cease it. Cease means now you know they don't exist anywhere in my thought or emotional structure. I have properly seized that. So this fivefold process is the process that you have to use to give up those four akusala thoughts. Now you might be wondering, what about virya, vayama? Actually, what is happening at the end through these five is samma vayama. Samma vayama means, now in the process of Noble Eightfold Path, samma vayama is one of the most important things. Why do I say so? Now in your life, even you are learning a lot of Dhamma, you think you are practicing. Are there moments of time you lack in your energy? You run out of your kusala energy? Just give a very honest thought to yourself. Now, you've been learning Dhamma for probably even in our Sutta discussion. I think there are participants who have been coming from the first day itself, 2023. It's almost 2 years going to be finished in a couple of months. So then looking at this time, how have things been happening in your life? Kusala, akusala. Sometimes you know this is akusala, but still you are carried away by the akusala. Why is it? Is it your Dhamma knowledge problem? Perhaps that. But where is the problem? The problem is you are not maintaining your kusala energy. You have to maintain. How to maintain it? Normally, we have a lot of energy for akusala. Say, for instance, the eating experience, to eat all the food, junk food, whatever food, and compulsive eating, we have so much energy for that. Unless we are so sick and don't have appetite. But what if to eat in moderation, do we have a lot of energy for that? Do we have the similar energy of that particular energy to eat in moderation? I don't think so. Actually, we cannot say we don't have it. We don't create it. We have it. Not someone comes and give me the energy. Sometimes there are so many moments where we can avoid telling lies. Right? And then are we making use of those times? So are we naturally driven by the people around us to lie to other people? That means we are not monitoring our energy, our kusala energy. Always kusala energy, unwholesome energy takes over. Now, then, what are we supposed to learn at that? That means these fivefold steps are only possible when you practice samma vayama. Then what is samma vayama? Let me tell you. It's fourfold. Number one is that prevent putting forth right energy, or I would say kusala energy, to prevent inactive or non-existing akusala states of mind. Now, say for instance, you are always good. You have no akusala, that bad akusala. Just because you don't have it, there is no guarantee they will come to you. They will not come to you. They will come. They may come to you. So you have to put forth samma vayama, good energy, to prevent them. So that is the first area of samma vayama. Second is that sadly sometimes you are badly influenced by wrong people around you. Maybe you are so much stressed out, depressed, and then a lot of things are happening in a short period of time. Then you are not able to understand what's going on in life. So sadly, you have been impacted by the akusala. At that point, you need to put forth energy to remove them. Now they are already in me. Remove those active akusalas. This is the second aspect of the right effort. And the third one is it's about the good stuff. It's about the kusala side. That means now you need to create new kusalas. So you have to put forth energy to create new kusalas. That's why you are coming and learning here, right? Otherwise, you could have done something in your house now, right? During this time. Why you are coming here? You want to learn Dhamma. You want to practice it, not just to acquire knowledge, right? You want to practice it. That's why you are coming here. That's why you are spending time. Otherwise, you could have something in your house during this time. So then you have to create energy, because use energy to create new kusala. That's the third aspect of right effort. Last one is what you call, now you are already good, you have existing kusala, good things, you have to develop them, maintain them. Just because you are patient, you can't guarantee yourself that you are becoming patient all the time. Just because you are happy, you can't guarantee that you are going to be happy all the time. So that means uh, preventing akusala, removing akusala, creating new kusala, developing, maintaining existing kusala. These are the four things you are supposed to do with regard to the right effort, which I mean as effortless effort. So when you are doing that energy activity, you can easily do the five activities. What are they? Not tolerating, by giving up, then by removing, by ending, by ceasing. And these five are inevitable, easy to be executed in that process. So then you are going to execute those four akusala thoughts: kama, vyapada, vihinsa. And then you are bringing, through the support of effortless effort, you are bringing nekkhamma thought. You are going to be happy in your life, but you are bringing certain thoughts of renunciation. You are not going to like everything just like before. You are happy, but you have a certain ethical parameter to understand sensual pleasures at that time. And then you are always coming up with avyapad. In your vocabulary, there is no killing anymore. You always want people to be protected, everything to be protected. You want to coexist. And finally, you have no abuse in your mind. You want to protect everybody. Even when somebody is abusing, you want to speak up. Hey, don't do this. This is really bad. In a proper way, nice way. So this is how pahana sanya can be practiced.